Radioheads, you know I'm Mel Man, and I'm here with creator Tom D'Amico. Now, Sir Tom D'Amico, I speak with respect. I have a lot of respect for this man right here. A man who wears women's sunglasses, but a manly man nevertheless. He teaches fighting. He created a 50-page comic book. That's one of his latest works. That is a new and fresh take on the American sitcom Spare Roommate. So welcome.
Hi Jen, how you doing, L man?
A little more intro on Tom. Tom's done a lot in this last few years. He really didn't sleep a lot, and I hope he's been sleeping more now. So, Tom, you've
Been getting
produced
better,
films.
been getting more sleep.
Oh, good. Okay. He's produced films, music videos on very little sleep. You were the right-hand man to Lloyd Kaufman, which is one of the reasons why he didn't sleep much. And Lloyd Kaufman is one of the founders of Trauma Entertainment, an independent film production and distribution company since 1974. So since you have a few years experience being one of the main people running Trauma, what skills or lessons that you learned with Trauma are helping you now with short films, working on a feature film, your comic book, which is hopefully going to be turned to stop action, a live action animated film?
Yeah, live action. I'm looking
Okay.
to shoot it as a series, hopefully, eventually.
Okay.
Um, I mean,
Yeah. So what
really,
skills
just
or lessons?
working at Trauma, just like any other job, teaches you, and has benefited me in the sense that it's taught a lot about me at hard work, sacrifice,
Hmm.
and it teaches you to really focus time management and where to
Hmm.
put your energy and your effort, be it projects, be it different skills, be it people in your life. You have to manage things all in to balance everything you want to do, especially someone like me and someone like you who have a lot of different interests and a lot of different creative outlets that they like to explore. That's been the biggest benefit, I would say, uh,
Hmm.
to myself. I've been able to kind of balance a lot stuff since I've left there. I've been able to balance doing a lot of different creative things without going too crazy or getting burnt out by any of them. So
So
I
you're
think that's
not
really
burnt out
important.
now.
No, if I'm not burnt out now, I never will be.
I had
I
to ask that as a personal question because I care about Tom's well-being.
No, I have a much more, I would say, normal schedule now. I work a fairly normal 9 to 5 job doing graphic design
Right.
and printing. I teach 3 nights a week. I teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Toms River, New Jersey at RC Martial Arts. If anyone's from the Jersey Shore area, come by and check us out.
Hmm.
Um, Between that and then all of my film stuff, comic book work, I have a pretty full schedule, but it's a very fulfilling schedule. Like I
Yeah.
enjoy every aspect of everything that I'm doing right now. So
Yeah.
I,
Merging fitness with the arts is a thing for me. To me, that's really balanced. But
a
I
lot
want to go
of,
to
I mean, I'm sorry.
I wanted to go to Spare Roommates. I thought we were done. Your comic book. So I'll go
No,
right to that.
actually, just real quick,
Yeah.
with just what you were saying with merging everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like martial arts. The term martial arts comes from the god of war, Mars,
Hmm.
or whatever. But there's there's an artistic expression to it. Bruce Lee had, his philosophy that with martial arts is the art of expressing the human body. I
Okay.
think there's a lot that goes in between mind and body, spirit, and all of that creates like a harmonious balance to yourself and
Hmm.
your life if you can really kind of put it into work and figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, some of my favorite people I've worked with, directors or even just actors, are people that have some type of wellness routine. It doesn't even, and fitness is usually in there too. It just, they're easier to work with. They understand balancing time. They just seem to get things more, where people who don't meal prep or have a fitness routine tend to be more of a nightmare to work with. That's just what I found.
It's 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 shit. Well, it's one sign of a person if they do that. Like you can do that. You can fit into a routine. You can keep doing. You can be on time with things. You can be organized. You can kind of sacrifice some of your own time for,
Hmm.
betterment for yourself down the line. So it does go hand in hand with work ethic in, in a way. I definitely,
And
I, I definitely see that.
pushing yourself, pushing through
Of
pain on a
course.
set. You got to push through pain a lot of times. So comic books have pain, and I know filmmaking, there's definitely pain. But it's okay. So you wrote Spare Roommates. Now, why should we care? Pitch this to me. Sell me your book.
Okay.
Why should I watch this? Why should I read it?
Spare, Spare Roommates is, as you mentioned before, my take on the American sitcom. I grew up on a lot of the 80s and early 90s sitcoms like Perfect Strangers and Full House and stuff like that. But I also grew up liking a lot of like weird foreign TV. I grew up watching Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High when I was
All right.
younger. And all through high school, I was very into a lot of the British sitcoms like Bottom and The Young Ones, Coupling, Space, which was much later on with Simon Pegg from Shaun of the Dead. Um, so I took a lot of the things that I liked about the American sitcoms and kind of, I mean, there is a formula to how at least the sitcoms of that generation were made.
Mhm.
Um, and I took what I liked about them and tried to add in the different things I liked about, the humor from the British sitcoms, the seriousness and tone from, the Canadian shows that I've watched.
Mhm.
Canadian show, I guess it's really just one. Um, yeah, and just added my own little spice into it. I think me and my best friend Martin, who I lived with for a period of time in Miami,
Mhm.
just like everybody else, we're no different than anyone else who's talked about how goofy our life would be as a sitcom. And I just, we would talk about things and come up with different scenarios. One of the things that we always talked about um, was especially for the sitcoms of that time, like late 80s, early 90s, there was always themed episodes around holidays. Like there'd always be a Christmas episode or a Thanksgiving episode.
Mhm.
Um, and we were talking about that, and I kind of just got into writing. I was really into comic strips at that time. I had kind of rediscovered Calvin and Hobbes and had watched a documentary. I think it was called Stripped about
Okay.
just the history of the newspaper comic strips. And I thought it would be really cool to do like a comic strip about like our lives and like kind of sitcom it up and make it kind of hammy and over the top.
Now
Uh, and
you managed a swingers club at one point, and Martin maybe was
no,
involved. Does
I
that
didn't.
have
I didn't
anything?
manage. I just worked
I thought you
out.
managed it. Oh, okay.
No, no,
Does this have anything to do with swingers?
no, no. This doesn't. This would be. I think a lot of this was written previous to that, and
Okay.
I worked on most of the artwork for the first issue during that time. The first issue has been done for a couple years now.
I did
And I
not know that.
really didn't do a lot with it once I finished it because I planned it as a series like a sitcom. I have a first season or series, written out, and after I finished the first issue, I got burned out by it. Um,
Hmm.
that I knew I wanted to take time away and do a few other things, so I waited a little bit before I started working on it, the second issue, and just hadn't wanted to put out the first issue until I was going to be offering more, to continue the story.
Right.
Um, had briefly started working on it, um, maybe about 2018,
Hmm.
um, when I was living out in Idaho, and then since the time since I no haven't been at Trauma Entertainment, um, I finally had the time to actually kind of reevaluate all the projects and all the different things I was working on.
Right.
And that came up, and I've been working on the second issue ever since, and kind of just going back and figuring out all the things because I was in a very specific mindset, I guess, while I was writing it and completing it. So yeah, putting myself kind of back there and getting back into drawing since that kind of fell out of being like a normal thing for my life for a while.
But you did draw the shot list. I mean, not most people, when I work on a short film, I feel like they're not drawing things because you drew out some of the things. A lot of people
Yeah,
don't even
actually, it's
have
probably behind my head, right to over my my
for the
shoulder,
shot
like
list.
yeah, yep. I
Yeah, so I mean, drawing helps when you're making a film because you're either gonna have to pick, stock images or stick figures or not have a shot list. People do that. Not a good idea. But I wanted to me this just kind of highlights the point that I always I keep a really long list for years and I keep updating and backing up the list. And if I have an idea that maybe I'm too busy or it's just not the right time right now or not the right phase of my life to do it, I put it on the list. And I'm like, okay, in 6 months or 2 years or 10 years or 20 years, I'll do that. So this kind of reminds me of that. You did this a couple of years ago, but then you're so busy with producing so many things. I mean, viral music videos, short films, etc., that now you can pick up on this because you didn't forget about it. It didn't just go to the back of your head. Did you put it on an actual list, or this is just something you would never forget?
no, everything stays in my head.
Yeah, I figured.
I do very like when I write, even when I write, as you know, I'm sure, it takes me a long time to put pen to paper, but once I do, I'm done in like a couple days because I've spent
Hmm.
all this time. I'll write notes to myself here and there, and I rewrite little like scenes or little things here and there, but I edit it and go over things in my head so much that once I know that I'm committing it to paper, I've already got most of it figured out, and I'm really just putting it on paper so I can see it and visualize it in a different way
Hmm.
at that
Hmm.
point.
So, what are some of your luckiest or best choices you made while creating the Spare Roommates comic book?
Um, I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, just choosing to do it was one of the greatest things. I've always loved drawing, and I've always been like, the absolute least amount of talent in it that you can get away with people still knowing what you're drawing. So a lot of it was previous to working in film, wanting to tell a story in a certain way, and this was almost the only medium that I had to be able to tell it.
Mm,
So I really, hunkered down, and a lot of the if you look through the book, I actually have
yeah, I'm
a
gonna put some images on
prototype
the
copy
screen
right
too.
here.
Oh yeah, yep. I'm gonna put some images on the video part. So radio, sorry, you'll have to go to my
Great.
YouTube and you'll have to see the images. They're pretty cool. Now,
No, but just being able to, as you can see, like in the beginning, some of the artwork is a little plain. The backgrounds are plain. Like I
hmm,
really use this as my excuse to draw so much that eventually you see the backgrounds get more detailed, the
yeah,
characters get a little bit more detailed to
looks
where
good.
the first few pages, and this is a theme a lot of what I do with film and storytelling in general. The beginning and the end always have like a secular feeling, just like a
Mm,
song. Like songs, the best songs really start out the same way that they or really end the same way that they started out.
mm,
And if we start out in a conversation around a like a Sunday dinner,
right?
pretty simple. But we pick up at the very end of the book, and just from like a little bit that I'll show you here, the detail, the amount of work that goes into it,
Yeah,
it definitely picked up as I was working on the book,
yeah,
through just
nice.
doing it so much. So I guess that's credit to the old 10,000 hours adage of anything you can do
Right.
for 10,000 hours, you can eventually master. I don't think I mastered, and I still think I'm a pretty terrible artist, but I can do it, and yeah, I mean, I'm only getting better. So this is one of
10,000
the ways
hours.
I can. It also helps, as you said, being able to do storyboards. Now I'm writing the scripts and doing the storyboards as a comic book, and using this to go out and figure out how I'm going to produce and do a live action series. So it's
Hmm.
really taken, I mean, it's a longer steps in between, but it also helped me connect to the material. I mean, it's mostly autobiographical, so it'd be weird if I didn't connect to the material, but it helps me connect to the material in a more technical way as I'm
Okay.
going through the process.
So 10,000 hour goal. There's a lot of things I'm working on now, and I pretty much just decided the next 2 years I'm maybe once a month I'll socialize something totally frivolous that's outside of my goals and interests, just because I have a time. I have a 2 year time limit for some things in film. Now for you to hit this 10,000 hour, what things did you have to sacrifice? What things lacked your attention, or what things did you have to skip out on for the last few years to get these done and to learn how to
Um,
make a comic book and a short film and work on feature films?
Honestly, a lot of it was like you just mentioned, taking out socializing. Like I wasn't dating as much as you know what I mean. I am now.
Hmm.
At that time, I wasn't. Yeah, I mean, I just didn't. I focused a lot on just, sorry, on just that creative aspect.
Hmm.
Um, but while you're doing it, it's not a sacrifice because it's what you want to do. Like
Right,
I don't look back at it and be like, oh, I wasn't. I wish I was dating more at that time because like if I wanted to, I would have been. I would have been doing a comic class. I always just do what I want. I know. I know that about myself.
yeah, I respect that.
Um, so yeah, no, like what I mean, I don't ever look at it as work, and hopefully that when you find those things that you really enjoy and that you
Right,
can succeed at and progress at like that, that you know, what I mean, you and people out there listening won't view it as work.
right.
It'll be just walking toward your goal as opposed to
Oh
working
yeah.
towards
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm just updating my makeup and special effects portfolio, and that's something I want to do. And the truth is, I'd almost rather do that than just socialize or go to dinner or even go to a party. Parties are really boring to me just for now. I've partied so much in my life. So, I mean, yeah, a lot of people who are friends outside of industries I work in are not really getting time with me. And I kind of feel bad, but at the same time, I'm doing what I want, but I miss them
it. Yeah,
because
and
you
you're
can't do
making it,
both.
and you're happy. Those are the most important things. You're
Yeah, but I
doing
feel
what you
bad all the
want to
time.
do. You're keep going. Life
Because,
is short.
people that
We're
are just
always going to be
friends,
feel.
yeah.
There's always going to be things that we will miss out on that we don't. I mean, most of the time we don't realize it.
Hmm.
Um, I really do think though that we only life is short, so you just got to keep focusing on that, and the things that we miss or the things that we sacrifice shouldn't be that. If we do feel like we're sacrificing or missing out, then we're not servicing like that balance in our life to keep it.
Hmm.
Because I feel like I do, even at their most creative points, like I do go out and do crazy stuff because I'm not like a super creative person. I write about my life, so if I don't have anything interesting in my life to write about, then I got nothing to sit there and pine at home for hours and hours and
Right,
write
right.
about. And you also got to remember that the reason that you're doing a lot of these things is because you enjoy life and you love life. So you've got to live it. The reason
Hmm. Hmm.
we're creative in ways is because life or things in life have inspired us. So we can't. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it is a balance. Sometimes the balance swings one way than the other, but it's
Hmm.
only in service to everything else. All the
Yeah.
success you have in your film career is in service to your regular life to make you happier and to make you a healthier person. So I hope you find the balance that you're looking for, and I hope that
I don't
what I
think
mean.
I
You're
am.
good.
I
It's
think
good to
I'm
hear
gonna be
that.
more obsessive in dealing with people like you who are always you're involved in what I want to do. So now you brought so many written works to life, probably in the last 3 years. I don't know, maybe 100 pieces of written works that are just
I'm not
outlines.
sure about that, but
Well, definitely dozens. I would say
you know what?
dozens.
I guess whatever you would consider like, okay.
Probably
There's certain things
shorts
I
or
don't think of as work, and I don't think of as, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
even a sketch if you had an outline, like we did a few short little sketches or promos. So you brought something that was on the paper to life. So several authors have asked me about, how do I take my writing and put it into something that people can watch or listen or a movie or an audiobook. So my advice for the last few months, not that I'm qualified to give advice, but if they have zero experience, I just tell them simply get your friends or even better actors and have them read the stories via a recorded Zoom session. And this lets the creator hear and sort of see what the written work will be in a narrated story or audiobook or movie format. So that's my advice. And then you can be like,
The
oh,
sense of
this story is,
visualization, they can see it come to life. I get you.
or listen to it. Because, before a movie
Hmm.
I shot, everyone went on Zoom, we read the whole movie, and then by the time we got to New Jersey to film it, I've listened to it, recorded it twice, and we're like, oh, okay, this script is viable. We can turn this into a movie, and it's pretty cool. So, what's your advice, last question, to authors who want to turn their written work into watchable pieces?
Do it. That
Just
I
do
mean,
it.
honestly, there's no better advice than to just plain do it. Be willing to fail. Be willing to look stupid, and don't care. Nothing. No one ever did like something for the first time and it became like magic. I'll
Hmm.
take that back. I'm sure there's a couple people
No,
that have.
there's a few.
There's
Yeah,
exceptions. There's
sometimes.
exceptions to every rule, but chances are, I mean, we're not the exception. I'm not saying you ain't special. I'm just saying that you shouldn't think of yourself as special. Go out there and put
Hmm.
in that time and the effort, but also be willing to do it. Be willing to look dumb or goofy or whatever, and put yourself out there. Try different things.
Yeah.
I spent many years not doing anything with film because
Hmm.
I didn't come from money. I didn't go to
Hmm.
film school, and I thought that was kind of how you did it.
Hmm.
Um, and film, I mean, don't get me wrong, film's expensive as hell. There's a reason
Hmm.
why I also like doing comics a little more too. Um, but that's not the case, and there's always a way to figure out how to get done what you need to get done. There's Indiegogo and crowdsourced
Right.
financing. There's friends. There's network of people. There's social networking now that wasn't around when I was, a kid. To be able to
Hmm.
think of like, these are ways that things could happen. You hear crazy success stories by people like Kevin Smith and Quentin Tarantino that almost feel like fairy tales.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but when it comes down to it, the journey of a million miles begins with one step. So you just gotta go get out of your comfort zone and say screw it and do it.
Right. And where can we find you on social media for people listening to the
Um,
radio?
Instagram at Tom D'Amico, ThomDemicco. Also on Facebook, Tom D'Amico, THOM.DEMICCO, and Facebook.com/spare roommate. Check it out. The Indiegogo is actually finishing up in next week, but it still will be in there in demand because it was, I did it as a pre-order. I didn't do it as a, hey, why don't you give me money to, take the time to draw this and then print it. Like, all the money's going toward printing costs, and the money that doesn't go toward printing costs will go, what I mean? If there's enough left, we'll go to,
Mhm.
hopefully producing at least a few minutes of the Spare Roommates pilot episode. Um, Hopefully, I want to get a sizzle reel together for that, so and shop that around so I can figure out some financing for the whole thing. I was recently in Miami, so I shot a couple little things for like B-roll and exterior stuff,
Well,
and we'll probably film the rest of it in New Jersey.
all right,
But yeah,
cool. Well, I hope you all
thank you,
enjoyed
El
Tom
Man.
D'Amico. And now for more, it came from the radio. Back to you, Mark.